All right, here we are with the trials. Got Cool Eye, Colorado here, and I don't know how this is gonna behave. We got quite a bit ways to ride.
So I get the appeal of many wanting to trail ride with a trials bike. Some want to trail ride for a while to get to their destination. Some want a bit more confidence on the harder sections, and some solo ride, and they are just hoping the trials is the answer to venture off anywhere they want without having to get worried, quote unquote, getting stuck with an enduro bike. Now, I've been there. Now I'm very new to trials riding. I originally bought it for two reasons. One, to practice my static balancing, some little tricks here and there, and of course to entertain me in the backyard when I don't want to get in my car and just ride for 30 minutes or so. And the other reason is I solo ride a lot. I want to make sure I don't get stuck off of tough obstacles, and yes, that translates into me not being a good hard enduro rider, of course. For example, in 5 miles of hell, no way I was able to do the Crux, and I couldn't even push my bike up that thing. We needed 3 people to push it up.
Yeah!
However, if I were on my trials bike, I'm pretty 100% confident that I can possibly solo crawl it up the Crux. Now, of course, that's not ideal, not practical, because the whole idea of trials and getting better at enduro riding is to stand up. But I'll try that out another day, of course. Now, to answer the question, can the trials trail ride? Yes and no. The reason I say yes and no is, well, if you properly want to learn trials, many say to leave the handlebar stock. What I mean is, you are so hunched forward that it puts immense pressure on your lower back and arms. However, you can of course get used to it. For basic trail riding, trials does not shine. However, to just get to your destination, it will definitely do it, just not fast like an enduro bike.
Woo. Definitely can't go as fast as one of these bikes, but I mean, they float over these rocks a little easier, just not at speed. Definitely a good training ground. Like, it teaches you, how to hold on to the handlebars a little more loose. Yeah, because on my 2-stroke, I can really fly with this stuff.
It's much slower than an enduro bike. It's a little bit sketchier at speed as well. I can possibly even ride my TTR 125 faster, to be honest. However, when it gets to a very tough trail system and hard enduro riding, the trials is almost like cheating. It literally will crawl up anything. And here's the pro about riding trials. When I talked to a few trials guys, they said just start off trail riding. Find the rock garden, get your balance right, learn to stand up and go over the tough obstacles. Start picking hard lines and see if you could eventually balance through and figure how your bike behaves. Now, this is the very same trail I do with my enduro bike, except I feel like on a trials, I can pick any hard line I see here. Now, I don't do it clean, of course. I'm just learning trials and overall just enduro riding, but I do see how this transitions into dirt bike riding. The feeling of movement over the rocks and obstacles still feel the same, but if you lose your balance on this entry level stuff, you probably won't fall every time because of the high seat compared to an enduro bike. So you just keep trail riding until you're confident enough to just stand up the entire way and figure out how your bike behaves on some harsher obstacles, which then translate into the enduro bike world very well. Now yes, an enduro bike by far trail rides way better than a trials bike, but a trials forces you to stand up almost on everything. So essentially, it is still a tool you can use while you are trail riding into the enduro scene. Also, I've noticed downhill section really terrifies me versus an enduro bike.
Oh yeah, an enduro bike would definitely do a lot better here. Oh man.
I think it's because I'm so hunched forward. This is something I would ride down on no problem, but remember the ergonomics on a trials is very different. You are pushed way forward. Now when it comes to going over rocks fast and rough downhill sections, by far an enduro bike does it way better. But you see, I'm usually sitting down on this stuff on an enduro bike, not standing, if you catch my drift. So to answer the whole picture, can a trials trail ride? It definitely can, but don't expect it to behave like an enduro bike, especially speed and the suspension travel. It's very harsh at faster levels, but keep in mind, this is my first trials bike on stock suspension. I just upgraded new forks and rear springs as well to my weight. I do weigh, with gear and everything, about 250 pounds, and this thing was probably tuned to someone who weighs 165 pounds, perhaps, maybe a little more. But when the trail gets very gnarly, the trials is almost like cheating. You don't have to worry about getting stuck. You can literally even leave it on first gear, and it won't even stall if you were to push it, almost making it like some kind of crawl mode. Overall, I highly suggest getting a trials to trail ride on hard enduro and tough obstacles just to get your balance, your stamina, and your confidence up. That way, you can get used to the feeling and transfer it over to an enduro bike. But if it's fast, flowy, and you're not planning to learn trials, maneuvers, tricks, balance, and all that stuff, it's not worth getting it, I would say. If it helps a little bit too, log hops. Now, I don't know why, but on a trials, log hops, like on really big logs, is kind of scary. I don't know if it's because I'm new to it, it feels different, but on an enduro bike, it's more confident inspiring, if that makes sense. I think it's because the ground clearance, or it's a lot of it is skill, but I can see how once I learn how to properly do log hops on a trial, I can easily transfer it over to an enduro bike. So I would say a trials bike is a little bit harder to learn on versus an enduro bike, but the trials bike is a good tool to get your confidence up and learn the harder tricks and learning the harder obstacles as well, because relatively it is a little bit safer because you don't have that extra seat and it's so lightweight. Anyways, hopefully this video helps someone out there. I'll keep learning and posting updates on my trials bike, but let me know if you guys have any questions on the comments.